morning, people. Just I'll sit here for a couple minutes and chair a little bit. And I'll just sit here and wait to see who comes in. Good morning, guys. Hey, soldier. You're first today. Yeah. Ryan. 77 Rockets. Ryan. I'm guessing it's still raining too much for you to get back into work. Howdy from down the street, Alex. Alex, you got to get in touch with me. I don't know if you got my number or not, but try and get in touch with me or go through the Gmail account attached to my site here, whatever, and get in touch with me. We need to get together and maybe do some turning or something, okay? Wow, everybody's jumping in here early today. That's great. Well, I hope to be entertaining in a different way today. I have a couple of pieces of wood here that I'm going to go two different ways. We're going to go inside one way, and we're going to go outside the other way. And most of that is because I screwed up. I'll admit that right off the bat. I was playing with this piece of cork oak. Don't install an update now. Oh, geez. I was playing with this piece of cork oak, and I started to set up the faceplate for it, and I set it up on the wrong side. So on this one here, just so you know. So I put it on the side. So we're going to turn out. We're going to turn off all this nice bark, and we're going to have an oak piece. I may do some of it. It depends on how it turns. So if I can, I will try and create something out of that that's a little different. We'll have this one turned the traditional way with the live edge on it, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so that's kind of the plan today. Am I going to sing and dance? No. You would not want to see me sing or dance. I can still sing, but you do want to hear it. Could get out my guitar and play that, but that's a whole nother story. So I guess we should get started on this now. As you know, these are two different pieces of cork oak. This one I think is a little bit older, so it's dried a little bit more. In fact, I was going to check the content on this one if I can. No, I guess it isn't. It's still really wet. This is, believe it or not, 24%. 24%. That is a very wet piece of wood. 24.6. This other piece here, let's see. It is 19. So I'm guessing that where I had them located around my place, this one was in my shop. This one was out in my storage room. My storage room apparently is a lot slower at drying, which is good. A slow dry is better, but yeah, so this one's going to be a really wet piece of wood. so we shall see what will happen with that. Okay, so we'll get started here. Let's see who else. Let's see. Yeah, Alex, give me a buzz after the show here today, and maybe we can get together or something. Okay. So, helmet on, and let me adjust the camera angle so you get a much better angle of what we're turning here today. There we go, like so. And please, if you can, hit the like button. That would really be appreciated, or subscribe. And you'll notice I'm using a different rest here today. I thought I'd use a flash, even though I'm not using a carbide tool right now. Because I wanted to show you that you still could use a carbide rest, a flat rest, even on a regular tool, gouge tool. So it will work with both. And well, look at outside. It's got the sunshine out again. Crazy weather we're having. It's windy and 45 degrees. We got an inch of rain today. And yet, the sun still is able to come out and shine for a little bit anyway. All right, let's see. I really sharpened this tool, so it kind of tends to grab if I'm not really careful. Now look at these. Look at these curls. That's really hard wood too. Looks like tobacco. You've ever seen raw tobacco? All right, so still got a little flat spot here. I want to get a little bit closer. And I think we're going to be able to do something a little interesting with this, if I can protect that bark. Maybe I can go a little bit higher with the speed here. Just holding that bevel right up against that wood, and just letting the tool do the work. How we get there. Ryan's working on a big project, soldier. He's hopefully we're going to get to see it pretty soon. If you haven't done it already, you should go over to 77 Rockets and check out Ryan's channel and give him a little love. Subscribe or become a member if you like. He's got a lot of stuff over there. He's still pushing for 50,000 subscribers. And he's got some interesting stuff he wants to be coming up with the rest of this year. So I think you're going to see a lot more of Ryan's woodworking skills going forward. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, we're getting almost round pretty quickly. And it looks like there's a lot of figure in this wood, but boy, is that wet. My goodness. I can feel the moisture. It's almost like it was just sitting in water. And it's been sitting on a shelf in a very dry, dark room for quite a while, but it feels just absolutely saturated with water. This ought to be interesting. Yeah, just a little bit of flatness right there still. Wow. I am really amazed at how wet this is. I'm surprised I'm not getting covered in it. I've had some wetwoods do that. I've had some wetwoods that actually started to spring water on me. I'd spray water on me, and I would get actual water droplets flying on me. So yeah, thanks, Soldier, for putting that up there. I appreciate that. Yeah, I want to give Ryan some love there, and he's the one who started all this. Just so you know, a couple other guys kind of goaded me into setting up a channel, and so I did. All right, let's see if we can get the bottom here. Yeah, I still want to use that the gouge when I can use a skew for that. So we'll get the skew in here and we'll do that. Okay, let's see. We are pretty flat. Pretty flat. Pretty flat. Work on that just a little bit, but I think we are pretty flat. Get the speed a little bit more. I don't know why I'm getting her shaking. I should be pretty balanced. Well, I guess the top is not balanced. Okay. So we are pretty flat. I have 88 watching and only 2 likes. Well, the rest of you don't like me. That's all I can say. I don't know. It would be nice if you guys would double tap the screen, though. I'd appreciate that. Would also like to keep improving our subscribers. We're up around 400 and about 4,400 or so. I'd like to get to 4,500 this week if we could. We're shooting for 5,000 before our 1-year anniversary. That'd be a pretty good first year. We're at about almost 4.2 million views at this point. That's 4.2 million views. So that's pretty good. And yeah, some of it. Interesting enough, that people really kind of dropped off watching regular videos and seem to watch lives and shorts much more than they used to. So that's kind of an interesting little take on all this thing too. It's changed over the last few months. I'm going to smooth this out a little bit. Oh, dang there. I'd like to get a little bit of development here. Don't want it to just be a straight up and down bowl. So we're going to try to wing this one out just a little bit, I think. Whoa, you want to catch that. Got to be careful there because I got that soft wood where the bark is. Yeah, I'm going to have to use it with the gouge. Right here where the bark is, see where it dips down. And so it's easy to catch if you're not careful because it's very soft compared to the wood. So I'm kind of trying to bounce where I'm going with my wood to the other. So let's see. I'll go up really thick. And then we'll start to bring it out just a little bit. Just a little bit more. It becomes really hard to do that with the bark. Let's see. Can I make this work? Because I'm going to be dealing with the fact that this is going to warp as it dries out. It's going to warp. So I wanted to give it a little bit of an angle where it'll be allowed to grow with that warp and not just crack. So we're going to come in a little bit more. Very good. That worked. Okay, we got a little bit more of an angle to it now. Move this up. Keep that angle going. Right here is where I need to go in a little bit more. And here a little bit less. And here a little bit more. Okay, let's see how this is shaping up. Got a lot of bark involved in here, so I got to be cognizant of that the whole time here. And hello to everybody else that's in here. I'm sorry I haven't been talking to some of you. I was a little bit distracted trying to get this thing to work just the way I want it to work. So I apologize there. Let's see. Um, Hi, Steve, and Raimundo, Jesus. I'm sorry, Jesus, and yeah, hi to all you guys. And also, just so you know, I did start a members page. There's no requirement on your part, but I do have a members page, and we're going to start doing some things for the members, like some separate videos or separate turnings, maybe, or just some chats. We'll see. We'll see what comes out of that. But I kept it as low as I could. They won't let me go lower than 99 cents. So I set it at 99 cents, and that's for all levels. It doesn't. There is no second level, quite honestly. There's just one level. So if you get on as a member, you're a member. You're a member for 99 cents, and then that's it. So if you're so inclined, it's no requirement on my part. It does help defray a little bit of the costs of doing some of this work. This can be a little expensive. Okay, I think we've achieved round here. So let me move this back around here, and we will try to achieve bottom. Okay, let's create a bottom for this. So nice thing about green was it does not take long to shape your bowl. The bad news is that sometimes the bowl disagrees with what you're trying to do, and it lets you know real quickly. Okay. All that wood kind of gets away seeing what's going on there. Oh, that helps a little bit. All right, I'll check this against my chalk and we'll see how much more we need to take off and go from there. Ah, just about right there. I got better eye today than usual. So right in there, so I'll just open it up to that other little mark I've got, and I'll be just fine. Okay. Over there. And then make it a little bit. Ooh, I don't want to gouge. I want it nice and smooth across there. Okay. Let's clean up this edge. Seems to be something that's a little bit bumpy there. I'm not sure what. You can see the curl in the wood. That's really interesting. Let me kind of just. There we go. We'll go just a little bit deeper on this. So I got a nice bite on there. There we go. That should be just about right. I think I'm going to leave this flat this time. I'm not going to curl it up. We got a nice little V going here now. I don't want to take too much of the wood off, or there won't be any bowl left. So let me get a little sanding on that. And oh, hey, soldier, thanks for joining the members. I appreciate that. It was not a necessity, but I certainly appreciate it. Get that nice and smooth across there. And of course, you're going to find out when you're dealing with wet wood is that as it starts to change the outside appearance, it also changes the. I'll show you an example of this. This is one we did the other day, and I showed you guys the other day that I did. This one has already started to get wider here than it is here. It's about a quarter of an inch more this way. And it's also stretching the bottom. So what happens is I'm getting a little bit of a rocking as this is stretching out, this is pulling in, and we're getting a little bit of a rocking. Not much, not in this way, but this way a little bit. So this may need to be re-sanded after it is dried some more so that it is more flat and will set better. But as far as the rest goes, I think it's looking really cool. The more this stretches out, I think the more interesting this little bowl gets. So this is a piece of cottonwood, I believe, that I did the other day. So just something to be aware of when you're doing this. You don't have to stabilize it. Good question, but you don't have to stabilize wood. There's a lot of ways you can dry wood. You can put wood in a bag with some shavings, and it will naturally dry over time. It won't necessarily dry the way you want it, but you can also take the wood and put it in a microwave. Some guys even put it in a microwave with a bag. And the reason they put a bag in there is that I'm going to get this out of my way. The reason they put a bag in there is that it steams the wood, so the water is not leaving it all at once. It steams it out, and then it slowly kind of dries, and that tempers the amount so you don't get cracking. So that's just two methods. There's many other methods out there. In fact, we did a whole class on it at our Turner's meeting last month, or a couple months ago, and even there was still a lot of debate about what way is the best. I mean, because everybody has a system. The big thing is, as long as you are to work with the wood, you can figure out your own system. I'm not sure why this is going so slow. Battery here, so it looks like it's not going at full speed. I was going through my wood pile, sort of. I actually came across another piece of wood that I really want to see if I can split it, but I got to wait for a nice dry day when I can get out the chainsaw and split it because it's too big for my bandsaw. I can't run it through the bandsaw unless I take it over to Ryan's or something. My bandsaw is not tall enough for it to go under and split it, so probably have to do it with my chainsaw. And the reason I'm going so slow with this is there's some tool marks on here I want to get out. So just bear with me while I'm trying to get this out. It's not going to on the surface. I'm going to change out this battery because I think this battery is done on. Seems a little better. Let's see. Here we go. Sometimes you just have to be really careful, especially like I said with this greenwood. And I might have to go back and redo it again later anyway. This might be just the first time we go through it because greenwood will sprout your grain. I have to go back and resand anyway. So I'm not gonna belabor this too much. Okay. Let me go to the next one. We'll go through these pretty quickly so that you guys can get back to watching me turn. I know I lose a lot of people sanding, but sanding is a part of it. That's just what it is. There you go. I'm not sure what that was. Something kicked in. Wow. All of a sudden my sanding went to turbo drive here. Not sure what that was, but good. We got these little tool marks in there. The thing is, you don't see them now, but when you put the finish on it, you see it right away. So I will try and take them out now before I put the finish on there. And by the way, if you ever have to do a sanding after you put a finish on, you don't have to go back and sand. It's going to clog up your sandpaper or sanding disc. It's going to clog that up. So one of the ways to deal with that is to use the same thing you use on a grinder, one of those rubber bars like these, and this will clean off your sandpaper so you can use it again. There's a lot of that the finish will get stuck in the grit of the sandpaper and ruin and make the sandpaper kind of useless. So if you are going back over something that has a finish on it, keep some of that handy so that you can keep cleaning off your sandpaper. Okay, there we go. Now we're starting to get a little better. One more grit and we will be finished. I promise. Don't run off. We're almost at the end of this part and we'll be able to turn this around and start making the inside of the bowl. That's when things really get fun, right? Or not sure which way you want to think about that. I'm also sanding this bark while I got on here because it's very soft and you want to make sure that you get it shaped just the way you want it now. Okay. All right. So that is the sandy part. And it is nice and smooth. turn that off for a minute. Whew, that's loud. Okay, so let me just put a little finish on this. I made up a fresh batch yesterday, and get some on the bark because the bark is going to suck it in more than the wood is actually. You'll get an idea of the wood. It takes on a little bit more of a kind of a pecan colored to it. And I'll just get this as I can for us. Make sure I'm good right in here. Now the bark will suck this up because it is a lot drier than the wood is, of course. It's bark after all, and it's cork, as a matter of fact. So it's not just bark; it is cork, which is what you use in all your wine bottles and olive oil bottles and things like that. So, oh, there goes my helmet battery again. So we want to make sure that we get it in here. And yeah, you can kind of get an idea of what this bowl is going to look like when it is finished. And like I said, it's not going to suck in too much of it because it is wet wood, so it's not thirsty. It's only going to go in just a little bit. I want to get the bark as much as I can. Here we go. Okay. Sanding out the curb. Let's see. Oh yeah, about the rubber. Yeah, that is handy, and it does help, and it cleans it up very quickly. And quite honestly, it doesn't take much of that rubber off of that razor. Use it for your grinding wheels and stuff, but it's also good on sanders. So save yourself some money. They're real cheap. You know, pick up a couple at the hardware store or whatever, and you'll have them for a long time. Ooh, there went a piece of bark. Didn't want it to grab the bark. All right. Okay. And that gives us our little bit of coating while we work on the rest of the bowl. I really like that color. It's almost walnut colored, isn't it? Almost looks like walnut. Oops. Sorry. I stupid me. I hit my button here and cut off my view of the screen here. So got to bring it back up. Uh, there we go. So what be interested to see what you guys are working on. Anybody working on anything fun this week? And you got some of the same storms we got going. Okay. Yeah, the first sanding wheel was 80 grit. The next one was a little higher, but yeah, on mine. Okay. Let me get this off, and we will turn it around, and we'll start turning the inside. Okay. So take this off of here, and my other trusty screwdriver remover. There you go. Okay. Yeah. As you can see, this one was held on well. And most of that is because the bark is so deep in places, you don't know if you got a good purchase on wood because you got so much bark, or cork in this case. Cork being a very thick item for obvious reasons why you want the cork. But you see, I was still not even in the wood as far. I was still in the soft stuff. And put our chuck on. Trusty chuck. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned in a while, but if you've got a chuck, get yourself some of these rubber pieces here. This is I ordered these from Amazon. You can get the expensive ones, the neoprene ones, that cost you a lot. I got a whole box of these for like, I don't know, $6 or $7. And when one gets worn out or whatever, but what it does is it helps create a nice firm grip between the two, but it also keeps it from metal to metal catching. Sometimes on a really heavy turn, you could end up actually getting your chuck stuck to your lathe in a sense. And so using that little rubber gasket between really helps. And I've got a video on that. If you search my videos, I think it's a short. If you search the short, you will see that in there as a tip. And it's a good tip to have. So a little bit off. I think I'll try and get that a little bit more square. Okay. Now what throws it off a little bit is this. Okay. So I'm probably going to have to lower that down a little bit more. It doesn't have to be even, but having that really high end there, it's probably going to get knocked off in the process of turning the bowl. I just have a feeling. So just because I have to stay so far out of there to get to that. We'll see what that does. Here we are. Let me rescue my helmet here real quick, and we will get started. These helmet batteries are supposed to last about 14 hours, but I think that's sometimes more of a wish than a wisdom. Get that started. There we go. Have that charging up, and we'll have this one on. Okay. Sorry for that little intermission there. Let's see what we can do with the inside of this bowl. I'm going to see how I can approach it. I want to kind of go in slow at first, just to see if I can get in here. I'm going to have to go faster. I just wanted to kind of see, get a visual here of the edge. Okay, let me see here. Yeah, see, I'm way up here, and that's probably not going to last. So I think rather than trying to save it, I'll nick that off. Get something that's a little more even. Even if I saved it, when I try to take that for this, it's going to fall off when I'm trying to package it up and take it to a craft show or something. I just don't think it's going to stay with us no matter what. All right, so now I can pick up the speed a little bit. There we go. I'll make sure that's tight. There we go. And cutting a cork like this is a lot different than cutting wood because it fragments. It comes off in chunks. And it's very a wrong move and really ruin your turn. So. And this is also now where we're getting into the soft wood. You hear that difference? So you get all these different sounds and characteristics that are coming around at you as you're turning. Look how rough this is. You can get in there. Look at that, how rough that is. Right in there. That's not going to come out easily. Let's see, what does it say, Alexander? I joined the membership yesterday, but it was a dog. Really? If it is, I will go back and check that because it should not be, and I will make adjustments if that's necessary. But I thought I had it all set for 99 cents. I will double check that, Alex, and I apologize if that's the case. You got wood right in the center. And then we're countering bark the rest of the way. I'm gonna see if let's see. Let's see if my carbide can deal with that a little better. I don't know if it can. It may get stuck. I'm gonna take really light cuts. This is where using this flat can be really handy. This flat rest can be really handy here is when you're using carbide, because it just sits right on there and you just hold it down to it. This is where it really becomes dangerous. I really worry. I don't want to snag. I might need to get in closer because this is where it might be a little more difficult. Can you get in here without hitting that? Yeah, I can. Okay. There. Is that getting any better? We're starting to get down into wood. Let's see, I'm also losing some of this bark. See right here? I might lose that, so I got to be really careful with it. I can't really, I can try glue that back on there, but I don't know if I can get it to stay. I think it's just gonna come off there. But we are starting to get into the wood getting further out and up to the edge here, so should be able to get through this bark pretty soon, and then we'll be able to turn better. Whoa, there something went flying in two different directions. One went that way and one went that way, and I'm not sure. But I could hear it hit two different places. Bing and bing, things are flying around the shop. So it's super interesting, but I have not turned my first bowl, so I wouldn't be. Well, that's okay. You jump into a lot of things, soldier. So I don't think that there's any doubt you can do it. You can do a bowl. I don't think there's any doubt at all. You watch enough of these. Oh, I see what came off. Does anybody see anything missing? That's what came flying off. Well, I won't use that for a while. I'll fix that on my own later. Yeah. Fortunately, I have another, so I will use that one. This is actually a Robert Sorby. And you know, soldier, I told you we can do a live. We can go on together, and we can go through doing a turn together if you want. You just have to set it up so the two of us are going back and forth on it. I just have to invite you into it. So whenever the mood strikes you a little bit, okay? Just let me know. All right, I want to see if I'm out to the edges now. Looks like I am at, okay, I am almost at, right here, almost at uh, oak all the way across now. So should be able to get in there. Should be able to. I say should be able to, and can do a few different things, but we'll see if I can. Ooh. Okay, I'm trying to go back in there with my gouge. See if I can get some purchase in there. Yep, I don't want to go too hard on that. Yeah, might be about time for this. You see how much more efficient the gouge can be. It also does get where it needs to be sharpened again. I think. Let's do here. We're going to sharpen this a little bit, but let's see where we're at. What do you see? We're about now. We're right to about here, and we're going down pretty quickly now. Now we got past the part, and now it's a matter of repositioning and getting in there with the right tools. So I think this is going to come off. That's going to come off. I'm not going to be able to use that. And let's see. I think this might be the tool. This might be the tool to use this time. Yeah, see, that gets me in there pretty good all the way around. You get it down. I need to lower this just a little bit. Let's see. It looks like it gets me in the right spot. Gives me support all the way through the turn. And we're getting into the harder wood too, by the way. If you didn't notice that from that turn. That is the harder wood. Okay. We do have to clear out all stuff. All right, let me sharpen this up really quick. I'll be right back. Okay. Oh my goodness, a lot of people are leaving here. Okay, guys, I'm sorry, but this is all part of it. You have to sharpen. If you don't sharpen, you don't get good cuts. It becomes unsafe, and then you lose your tool. Your so this doesn't take. It takes 30 seconds. And again, if you're new here, like button or double tap your phone, or subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. We've got like about 36 likes on here for an hour or so. So, yeah, I'd appreciate it if you guys would hit the like button. Like I said, subscribe if you can. Appreciate it too. And that is what you see how nicely that came out. I don't want to get over aggressive. Got to be really careful here. In fact, I'm going to check my hold in just a second on the back side, just to make sure everything's still in good shape. A lot of stuff in there. It really looks horrible, doesn't it, when it's all that stuff's in there? Clean all. All right, let me double check back here. Make sure my chuck is still tight. When you have wet wood, it becomes spongy and it will let go if you're not careful. So you have to really make sure you soften, make sure that you still have a good connection. Now what I'm doing is I'm looking over here. I'm looking over here when I'm turning on this side so I can see what's going on. I see the ribbon fly. Okay. Keeps kind of sneaking its way in there a little bit. I got to be careful. It's great to have this rest with this nice curve to it, but you also got to be really careful that it's not rubbing up against anything. I think I'm going to use my scraper here for just a minute. I'm going to clean that up a little bit. Get those sides cleaned off just a little bit. All right. See how that goes. Yeah, that's a lot cleaner. There we go. Now it's starting to look like a bowl. What do you think? Okay. We'll just keep going at this. You got to get all this out. I can't see where the lines are when it's all full of the sawdust and trailings. There we go. Okay. So we are starting to get down there now. And still doing good. clean out again. Now see what I've done is I've made this wide enough out here so that when it does dry and expand out, it'll have room to grow. It'll look oval, but it'll look pretty cool with the live edge. And the live edge is pretty thin here at the top. It's a little thicker in here. And I can probably take out some of that wall too and make that a little bit better also as I go. Let me see here. Yeah, I think I slowed that down a little bit. I need to get that back up to speed a little. There you go. Let's see how it goes. Okay, well, we're getting there. We're getting there. It's still too thick here for me. I like to have it a little thinner than that. Okay, let's see how far we are from the bottom now. Get this out of here. We are right about here. So I got another half an inch I think I can go in the bottom while I'm trying to clear out the rest of this and refine it. So as I refine, I'll keep going deeper. Yeah. I don't know if Ryan is still in here, but Ryan, if you're in here, if I knew you were in town today, I would have probably invited you over to turn with me. We could have done a double turn. Let's see how we're looking. Gonna take out a little bit of a hump in the center. I think I got it out on the sides better. Okay, so let me take out that center a little bit. Yeah, think that did it. That did it pretty good. Okay. Now I'm just going to refine this just a little bit with my scraper here. Use my favorite scraper here. Okay, and I just want to kind of refine this a little bit, make it a little smoother. Right here, where the bark goes into the wood, it's really kind of a weird transition. Let's smooth that out a little bit. Okay. I think that got it. We are down near the bottom. We got everything out of there. Yes. Okay, guys. Well, there we are on that. Let's see if we can. Oops. Don't want to lose my signal there. Looks like I was losing my signal for a second, but I don't think it's lost now. Okay, there we go. I think it's because of the weather we have around here. It's kind of creating some signal issues with our Comcast. It has nothing to do with me or my connection. I think it has to do with the company itself. That's Xfinity. Sometimes they have upload issues when there's bad weather. I guess I don't know. Anyway, I've done everything I can on my end with bandwidth, so it has to be with them. Okay. Tin cans and string. Exactly. All right. So let's see. How are we going to finish this out? Well, we are going to have to sand. I know. Don't go where you're sand. The word sanding, but we are going to have to go in here and sand this because it's the only way to make it look smooth. You can't do it any other way other than sanding. So I'll try and do it as best I can here. And I will have to do something too, but I just wanted to first kind of get it with it running. So you kind of see where we're at. Oh yeah, that looks good. Okay, so obviously when you're sanding bark, you have to kind of do it very carefully like so. And make sure this is picking all. And also the transition, you want to make sure the smooth transition doesn't jumps in or out from one to the other. What we want to do is we want to put it in reverse. It's very important. Reverse catches a little bit of that stuff that may only pop up in one direction. There we go. Okay, I think I got that. And we don't have to go through as many grits on the inside as we did on the outside. This is a much lighter grit sandpaper here. Okay, that's all you do as far as sanding goes on the inside. Because of the way we turned it, what I'm going to do now is just vacuum that out really quick, because otherwise it will not take the finish very well. I'm going to get all of that sawdust out of here we can. Get this as clean as we can. All right. The cleaner we get that, the better it'll look with the finish on it. Now I'll get the rest of this clean up later, but I just want to make a little clean space for me to put the wood. There we go. All right. There's a lot of wood underneath me on the floor today. All right. So we'll put a little finish on the inside of that, like we did on the outside. And you'll get a chance to see what this looks like. For the 30 of you that are still here, and all the others that ran off, I'm not sure why they ran out, because this is the best part, is watching it come alive as you go here. All right, get some more on here. I put a lot on the bark. I'll make it all those little nooks and crannies are filled it will help harden up the bark and make sure it stays on after everything dries. This will help preserve the bark while the rest of the wood is drying slowly. This also slows down the drying process a little bit as this gets into the wood. So here, now get the tops of the bark. And probably outside again too at the same time, doing the tops. And in the best of all worlds, I'd stick this out in the sunshine now that we have some at the moment, but I don't know if it's just in between clouds, rain clouds, or not. So I'm a little dubious about sticking it outside in the today in the rain, but who knows? It's been shining for a little bit now, so maybe we have a little break in the storms. Maybe. Okay. All right. So, kind of just clean off my brush a little bit on the outside here. And we managed to turn this bowl in about an hour and a half, about 90 minutes. 90 minutes, we created a new life for a piece of wood that was destined to place or something. Instead, we gave it life where it can maybe sit in somebody's house for a generation or two. I like to think that I'm extending the life of a piece of wood when we do this. Kind of a good way to look at it, isn't it? Okay. Well, honey, thanks for being in here. I appreciate you looking in. And hey, Michael. Michael, I wasn't sure if you're going to be in today. I thought maybe picking this hour would make it easier for you. Unless, of course, you were at work or something. Let's see. It's got to be 10:30. It's about dinner time for you now, isn't it? Seems like about dinner time for Michael. He seems to eat very late. After he's fed everybody else, I guess is the way to look at it. Okay, so there we are. I'll take this off of here. Yeah, I know there's only 23 of you watching at the moment, but there's our bowl. I'll kind of center it for you here. Oh, come on. There's our bowl. It's a nice deep bowl. I can put my whole arm down in there, so it's probably about 6 inches deep. It's got a beautiful. I love this ray here. I like that in this wood. Yeah, you get that a lot. The pith was probably right about here, so everything is. This is where the it would be radiating out from the center or the pith. There's some nice movement in the oak, and even the bottom looks really nice and clean. So, in fact, I should put a little brush on that too at the same time. Give it a little coating. So, so that's one way to do a cork bowl. And this is the preferred way of doing the cork bowl. Now, the other way of doing a cork bowl is the idiot way, which is what I did when I was setting this up by putting the stuff by putting the starting position at the bottom instead of the top. So what would happen in this case is we'd turn it and we would take off most all of this bark. Oh, thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. Yeah, this was a fun one. I mean, it's nothing hard about turning this kind of green wood. Now, what's going to happen? As you see where the lines are going here, that's going to happen is this is going to warp out this way and pull in on these sides. So as it warps out, and it's plenty wet, as this warps out and pulls in on the two sides, we're going to get into it with an oval bowl. So it's going to take that oval shape. That's why I gave the outside shape sort of this V shape to it just slightly, because I want it to be able to work with that. It's going to pull in and pull in here where it's thin, and I left it just a little bit chunky on the bottom. Not much. I think we're right about here on the bottom, right about there. So not too far from the miter, but yeah, any further and I'd have probably ended up with a peekaboo bowl if I'd have gone too much more. So didn't want to have that. Or a funnel, really nice looking funnel. So I'm going to take this off. So if we mount this one, you'll see it is completely different idea. This one, when we turn it, I need to take this rest out of here too. Don't need that rest anymore. Okay. When we turn this one, we are going to have to remove most of this. So what does that do? Well, that takes away the interest from the bark and puts it on the wood itself. We have to make sure the wood itself looks nice. And I'm trying to put all my tools away. There we go. So I'm going to give this a go. I don't know if I'll finish it. There's not a whole lot of people here watching right now anyway. But we'll give it a go. And for those of you that are still here, if you can hit that like button. I mean, 45 likes is not up to the standard we like to have here for the number of hours we've been on. So I would really appreciate it if you would get our likes up a little bit. So I can go a little bit full more. I'm going to have to work on I just kind of flatten the bottom off a little bit here first. Come up the side. Just kind of playing with it a little bit. Take a little weight off the whole thing. Actually, cutting through the bark is harder than cutting through wood, because there are so many voids in it. It really tends to bounce you a little bit. All right. Got some of that off of there. Okay. You can see it looks like a moonscape. Not very pleasant, actually. So, let's see how close I can get up here. And we'll start with that. Yep. Taking off a pretty big chunk here the first time around. Okay, so that's number one. That's the first time through. We got a long way to go to get this flattened off, but that was just to get it started. Each time I do it, I can probably pick up the speed a little bit more without having to shake as much. Here's my other bowl.
Oh, that's good.
Wife is joining the chat here. Sorry. Go ahead.
Walking by.
Walk by before I hit you with something.
Okay.
We already had tools and stuff flying through the shop, so. If you weren't here earlier, I was using a carbide piece, and the carbide tip went flying in one direction, and the screw that holds it went flying in the opposite direction. We don't know what. But fortunately, I have more screws and I have more blades, and we'll be able to move on. The problem I've had with a couple of my carbides is that the screw does not set really well. It doesn't stay set, and it can start to wobble or unscrew itself. There we go. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. Don't know what we're going to end up with when we get there, but we're getting there. All right. So ooh. There. All right. Interesting there. Interesting there. I think we got almost round. See, we're getting very close. All right. And I am going to have to sharpen soon, but I'll try and do one more for you. I just need to refine that a little bit and we'll be fine. So. There. Now I can get in here and start shaping it. Ooh. Okay, so I got the general shape here. Now I need to take off enough that I can make an actual connection down here. I don't know how deep the bark goes, but I got to get into solid wood or I can't make a tenon. Well, got to get in there deep enough for that. See, am I getting to where I got some wood? Not enough yet to have anything to grab. So, unfortunately, I have to go further. Okay, so see where we're at. Almost. See, there's still too much bark right here. So, okay. I'm gonna have to go a little bit more. Like so. Okay, let me see here. Think maybe we can make something out of this now. Let's try. Let's see. Maybe I can make this a little more stark. And then like this. Okay, got that so far. Profiling sort of a foot. I don't know, guys. This is going to be fun. Let's see. Tiny claim one time. Let's see. I learned by preparing my own. Yes. What does not do well? Yes. That's for sure. You can learn a lot actually by making pen blanks. You know, people think pen blanks are simple, and they are for the most part. Pens are very simple to make, but they do teach you a lot of skills, including patience and how to work with your tools, and how to work with some of the woods too. Okay, I think I got that general shape in there. Sorry, negative rate scraper. Didn't want that one. Don't use that one very much. That one. I think that's going to be just fine. But let me double check my sizing here. I think it's actually bigger than it needed to be. Oh no, it's still right. It's perfect. Good. My eyes are good today on this. Speaking of eyes, I went to my eye doctor the other day. He says I need to have a laser operation on both of my eyes due to scar tissue behind the lenses that they implanted a couple years ago when I had surgery on them. They had to replace. They had to take out both of my lenses and replace them with optical lenses. And it's perfectly fine. First thing he says, "Oh, nothing." Well, I'm sorry, but when somebody's pointing a laser at your eyeballs, it's not nothing. You know, it's easy for him to say it's not his eyeballs. I tend to take a dim view of people pointing something as treacherous as a laser at my eyeballs. Okay, but he says that, and dim view is not a good choice of words, I suppose, when you're talking about your sight. But he says that they will not use an anesthetic or anything. They just secure your eyeballs, so to speak, and they put the laser in there, and it dissolves or gets rid of the scar tissue. and then like that, and then they will then it you just drive off. You're basically that's it. Um, I'm a little skeptical of that, but if that's the case, that's fine. I just need to get it scheduled, and so I may at some point be without my eyes for a day or just wanted to kind of let you guys know that in case you don't see me for a couple of days, but it won't be anytime soon. I'm sure I'll have an appointment, and it may not be for months, depending on when it gets covered by my insurance and all. So yeah, what do we got here? Cherry turns beautifully both by cherry types made nice pins, but all my dowel pins are great. But then my hickory and poplar were a disaster. Poplar can turn out really well if you have the right part of it. I think there's hard and soft spots in poplar too. Uh, if you need cataract surgery on both eyes, I'd do one eye at a time. Yeah, do one eye at a time. Don't do them both at the same time. That way you have a chance to recover a little bit between. It's not a bad operation. It really isn't. It's very easy. And trust me, I'm a guy who doesn't like to go into the doctors for anything really. I've had very little interaction in the operating room except when I had my finger replaced and put on back on and stuff. But I would say that if you need cataract surgery, get it. You will be amazed at how much clearer things are. But what I noticed was that there was no longer clear. It was getting cloudy again, and that's when he went back in and he said, "Yeah, you've got scar tissue." So, for what it's worth, that's that. Hope that helps you a little bit. Okay, I'm going to need to take some sandpaper to this before we get. And I'm hoping that this here will hold. That's asking a lot of this, and I may end up going a little bit deeper. I don't know, but right now I just want to kind of clean it up. Yeah, I think I'm going to go in there a little bit deeper so it goes underneath, so it's underneath the wood. By underneath, I mean if you go deeper than what's on the outside here, then you have more structural control of the piece. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper here. Okay, it's deeper than I normally go. I know I've got wood on the inside all the way around, so I should be able to hold while I'm turning. Okay, should be able to. I'm going to try and shape this a little bit. Get this on. It's really hard here because you got bark on one, or that oak bark in one part and wood on the other part. So it's kind of messes with me a little bit. I want to keep it all even. I don't want to over sand the bar part while I'm sanding the wood part. We do have a little crack here too. So you gotta watch that. If you want, tap the screen or hit the like button and give us a like or subscribe if you can. Or if you'd like to become a member, you can become a member also. But certainly like, and if you can subscribe, that would be the two things I really appreciate the most. It'll, if you subscribe, you'll know when our next video is going to be on. Next live is going to be. We do lives usually twice a week, always on Thursday like this, and sometimes on another day of the week, either a Friday or Saturday or a Sunday or Tuesday. It just depends. And so we look forward to meeting up with you guys and turning different things every week and taking on new challenges. This was certainly a challenge today. Here we are. And hopefully this is just superficial cracks here that we'll be able to work. We'll have to deal with them on the inside hole. All right, that's looking really good. I'm going to go up one more just to make sure I got a good surface. That wood gets really hard on the end grain, boy, I'll tell you. You can feel it. It doesn't want to sand or anything. It wants to sit there. Okay, so much for the sanding. We'll stop that. Yeah, summertime with no school, that's probably the best time to do it. Yeah. But like I said, I would do them a couple weeks apart if you can. My optometrist said that, or ophthalmologist said that they usually recommend that too. Don't do them both at once. Just in case there's some sort of complication, you don't want to have both eyes out of commission, while you're healing. That the healing process is not as much as they make it out to be. It's really not. It's pretty simple. Just don't stick stuff in your eye. That's the big part. Don't put your fingers in your eyes. Don't scratch your eyes. Don't touch your eyes. And you'll be fine. They give you that eye patch thing to keep your hand out of your eye. And some people tend to do it even at night when they're not thinking about it, when they're sleeping. But I found one night where the eye patch was about all I needed. And after that, I was pretty able to sleep without sticking my fingers in my eyes or anything. You will be happy though, and really think through: do you want to have farsightedness or nearsightedness? Because they really can't cure both. You're going to end up either still needing glasses for reading or needing glasses when you like are driving or something. So think about it. I went for being able to see far distances and then being able to just use a reading glasses when I wanted to read. And for a long time that worked for me until we found out that my eyes don't line up, and that's why I see things double. I thought my double vision was just something that I had, and there was a reason for it. My eyes don't line up; they're offset, sort of. Funny, it took 70 years to find that out, but I guess eventually you find these things out. Okay, letting that soak in just a little bit. And so this is going to be completely different because you don't have a live bulb. What you have is you have marks on of your bulb. It'll look completely different than the first one. And it has kind of unique appeal to it, I think. All right, so we'll take this off. There we are. And let me get my oil out of the way. Oh, see if we can't do the inside of this. I know there's not too many of you watching right now, but hopefully those of you watching are still entertained by this. Otherwise, I could just stop and do it another time myself, but I'm willing to stick it out if you guys are willing to stick it out. And the last one here. Oop. There we go. That was my fault. There we go. All right. Put this on. 18 watching right now, huh? Well, you're going to see a nice little bowl if you stick around. And if you don't stick around, you won't see it. Plain and simple there. Okay, let's turn this on. That's a little bit off. Okay, let me see if I can square that up a little bit. Whoops. Square that up a little bit. Make sure that it goes on there nice and snug. And I'm also watching this. This is here. I don't want to put too much stress on that. There and there. Okay, let's see what we got. Pretty good. I think I can live with that. I think we can live with it. We'll certainly find out quick enough, won't we? Okay, I'm going to sharpen this. I got enough. I got a sharp blade. I need just a touch-up shot here. Okay. That's all that needed to get it going again. Okay. There's the outside. I'm going to do a short, just a little highlights there. Okay. Now we can pick up the speed. There we go. Now, one of the advantages going as opposed to the one we were doing before is we're dealing with all wood here, pretty much. No bark. At least in this part of it. I don't have those two different textures going all the time. That was kind of causing some trouble before. All right, now we got it pretty well flattened out. Oh, and you can see it's got some really pretty coloring to it. You can get a little closer. Make sure it's nice and even. There, I think that's pretty good. Now I got this little area right there. That's the only thing I have to watch. Look careful. So I will start going in right about here. Well, look at those ribbons, huh? That is a lot of ribbon. Filling up my trash can with it. What do you think of that, huh? That looks pretty nice. Middle cleaned out a little. Now, we're going to encounter different parts of the wood as we go this way. I want you to see this for a second. Remember, this here was the outside of the wood. This is the middle of wood. So we're actually going from the center of wood out towards the newer growth of the wood as it was going here. So, yeah, the shavings are nice. Thank you. So what's happening here is as we're turning this, we are going from the center of the chunk of wood, which would have been about this big, where the center would have ended up being right about here, and we're going from the center and we're going out. So it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to encounter different kinds of wood than you would if you were going from the outside in. Okay. Generally speaking, not always, but generally in a lot of species of wood, the wood is denser as you get towards the core. It tends to be a little drier. There's less water being carried in the center of the wood, and so it tends to be denser, and it tends to be a little bit more, a little bit harder to turn in some cases. Now this is relatively green wood, so not as much of an issue. But if this had been hardened, dried wood, we'd be having a time getting started. And there's a tendency to go too deep when you're doing this. So I kind of tend to pull up just a little bit. And I'll go back and get some more of that later. So it tends to hump in the center just a little because I'm not trying to take it all out at once. And when you're going from the outside in, remember you're putting more pressure on the outside here, which puts more pressure on this coming off its tenon. Careful with that. But also, as you're coming in, make sure you're dropping your blade, your bottom here, a little bit of your, so that your blade is pointing up. So you're actually coming up at an angle like this, not straight across. Okay. We'll eliminate a little bit of that. You want to be careful. And clean this off again. Just kind of keeps on piling up. Oh man, a lot. There's like a lot in here. Look at all this. I'm taking them out in fistfuls. Plus what's on the floor here. There's probably a 5-gallon bucket full of stuff here altogether. I'm going to use this for just a second, just to see how it's doing on this. I can use that too. It's already starting to go in like that, and I don't want it to go too far. I want it to match the outside. So got to be careful that I don't start letting that work in and keep the outside pretty lined up with the outside. I could see it right there. Ah, I'm gonna have to take a rest for just a second here. That's really getting tiring there a little bit. I think the end of this is getting a little bit. I think I should just touch it up just a touch. Just a touch. As you can see over here, you can see I'm setting this at 2 inches exactly. I got my one way here. It's all set up for this one, so I just have to just click one over on the okay. And that's all it is. That's all it takes to make this sharp again. So go back into it. See if we can get in there. See the difference that makes? Can you tell the difference? That really makes a difference, doesn't it? All right, we are over halfway in. So on that initial approach on the side, as you're turning the tool around, that makes all the difference. You need to get in there and set that edge. What am I hitting here? I'm hitting something that's bouncing me a little. I'm not sure what that is. Let's see. Wow, hitting so much I can't. Let's clean it out again. Jeez. So far, this is working out pretty good. I don't want to say anything too loudly because that's usually when things happen. I don't want to jinx it. But feel free to jinx it if you want. But yeah, please check out Soldier Farms too, guys. He's been here. All day today. He does a lot of different things. In fact, he was doing a dulcimer that you were doing? And now that you built one, you got to learn how to play it. So, okay, we're getting near the bottom. We're like about a half an inch or so away from calling it. And we'll start developing things here a little bit. Yeah, that's going this way. I gotta be really careful here. I don't want to grab something. Man, this is like doing an acrylic turning, you know? Got so much of the shavings off of here. This trash can is getting completely full. And I emptied it before we started. Okay, I think we're going to get to where I can use my scraper now to clean out the bottom, or my new tool I made, the one I made the other day. Let me sharpen that just a little bit. See if we can't clean up the bottom here just a little. Let's see what's going on there. A little bit of a ridge. Okay. Well, this is where you clean it up, so. All right, now we'll get the scraper out. We'll scrape the edges, get them a little cleaner. Okay. Just a little bit smoothing out in there. I think I'll have it. I'm sorry if I'm getting in the way of the picture here a little. Okay. There we go. That feels really good. Really good with that. Okay. We got it. So now we just have to clean it all up. Getting all the tools out of the way is the first part. I don't really like how that looks, but hopefully I can get that sanded out. All right. Take this off the way. Move this out of the way. I'll show you what I'm looking at. Just bear with me for a sec. There we go. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Sorry, it's back. It's back. It's back. It's back. Sorry about that. I apologize. So anyway, so you see all of this, right? And all of this, all of this is what came out of these tools today. So it's been it's gonna be a mess to clean up, but that's the fun part that you get after you're doing a video. You also get to clean up all of this stuff. And since tomorrow morning's trash day, I get to get it out to the trash. Some of it out to the trash, not all of it. Some of it goes in the garden. Goes out before the sun goes down today. Guess I should turn this on. Now, it's a little bit easier to sand this up because this is going to be all wood. There's no bark involved on the inside of this one. want to kind of move things out a bit. Okay, good. I'll put it in reverse. Backward. Okay, like that. Pull it off. There's just softer wood right here. And careful. All right, the bridges. Okay, good. We go to the next one. Yeah. Okay, good. And I think I'll do one more, just a little bit, just to get it all cleaned up. Yeah, after 57 ton of cheese, yeah, I'd imagine so. Every time I do like 2 bowls on one of these lines, 2 or 3 bowls, I've got a lot of cheese. It's the unglamorous part of YouTube people don't see. This is one way to put it. All right, that feels good. Okay, good. All right, I think I'll hit the vacuum on this just to get out any dust because there's a lot of particle dust in there. Real quick. That out of my way. A lot of curls today. Lots of curls. Maybe the most wood curling I've done in a long time. Certainly, you don't get that with the Modesto ash I was doing the other day. Which can be a beautiful bowl, by the way. That Modesto ash bowl, if you didn't see it, you go back and look. Oh, and if you want to know more about this one-way banjo that I got for my lathe, I did a little short video on that, only 3 minutes long. If you look in the shorts, you'll see it. Comparing my new one-way banjo with my old one, and you'll see some of the pros and cons, what I like about it, and what I think could be improved. But for the most part, I really love it, and others to get one if they can for their lathe. Okay, let's see here. I'm a little concerned there might be some tool marks in here still, but we'll go through it and see what happens. A lot easier to paint or brush the inside of the bowl than it is the outside of the bowl too. For some reason, everything stays put easier, I guess. let that kind of soak in. We didn't have too much trouble with the cracks, but I am going to keep watching that as this wood dries because those cracks could still end up cracking really badly and ruining this piece. So I kind of have to kind of keep an eye on that as this dries to try and keep those areas maybe a little bit more moist than the rest of it. I don't know. So that it can slow the process of the drying around those edges and end up with a cracked wool. But here we are. Also notice that tenon that I chose to use with those slightly adjusted recessed tenon with the little foot that I made worked out really well. Even though we had cork in there, it held and it did not come off. So that's a real win as far as I'm concerned too. It shows that thinking ahead and doing a little planning as you do these projects really does pay off. All right. Let that soak in. I'll put this down so you guys can see it alongside the other one. Okay. And here's the first one, or here's the second one we did, and here's the first one we did. So you can see two different ways of turning a bowl. Right? One with the bark on the outside and then the bottom, one with the bark on the top, like a live edge bowl. Yeah, I hope I've given you a few tricks for your toolbox. Which one do you guys prefer? Do you prefer this one? I mean, obviously it is a little more dramatic looking, but this one is a little bit more solid in a sense. And I think this is going to look really nice. This part here. This part has it too, but I think it stands out a lot more, especially on the inside. It stands out more in this bowl. So of the two, you got two different ways of turning the same piece of wood. And I hope that was useful for some of you. I see we're up around 82 likes, and I kind of hate to leave without giving people a chance to give us one more like in there or double tapping the screen, for the work that we did today. That'd be kind of appreciated. You'd like to get to 100, but that's not always possible. But if we can, that'd be great too. I'd love to get to 100 likes. And I'm willing to sit here. If you guys are willing to sit here and wait until we get to 100 likes, that would be great. But I'm gonna have to get ready. I'm also the cook for dinner tonight, so we're having tri-tip, which is typical California, right? Tri-tip roast. And the way I make the tri-tip, it's been soaking in a marinade for about the last 5-6 hours. So it's going to be really good. And you sear it first. And after you sear it, and I got everything in this pocket. Now, after you sear it, then you cook it kind of low and slow until you get an internal temperature of about 130. You take it out and let it stand for about 15 minutes. It continues to cook. It gets up to around 145 or so. 140, 145, and it will be soft and easy to chew. You cut it cross grain. It makes for a great way to cook roast. It tastes like steak, and at least that's the plan. Now, hopefully, I don't screw it up. With the price of meat nowadays, you better know what you're doing when you cook it, right? If you've never had a tri-tip, you're from a part of the area where they don't cut tri-tips, think of it as being sort of on the end of the brisket, sort of. But it is a really flavorful and usable chunk of meat, not overly expensive. Usually comes in about 2.5 to 3.5 pounds. And of course, you want to trim the excess fat off. You can do that yourself. You don't have to pay somebody else to do it, and that way you can save a little bit of money too. Just have a good knife on you. But this isn't a cooking show, so I guess I don't really need to be telling you guys how to cook. All right. Vacuum some of this up so I don't trip and fall on it. But for those of you that stayed, I appreciate it. If you'd like to be a member, there's memberships available. Also, that you can just subscribe. It costs you nothing to subscribe, and that way you're notified when we do our show, our lives, and our other events, and our short when we post videos. So if you want to be notified, that's the way to go. And thank you, Soldier. I really appreciate you sticking around with me today. It's much appreciated. We got 84 likes so far. I don't know if there's 16 more people in there that can give us a like or double tap the screen, but if you can, double tap the screen. Let's see if we can get to 100 before we go off here. Just tap the screen, double tap the screen. If you're watching on a TV where you can't do either, shame on you. Get a computer. But no, if there's any way that you can get on there and tap it. The algorithm does like videos that get likes, and it does judge us accordingly. And boy, is there a lot in here. Sheesh. I'm picking up bales and bales of trimmings here. Wow. I filled up this 10-gallon trash can with stuff that's come off here. And somewhere in the house is the or somewhere in the shop here is that blade that came flying off my carbide. I'm glad it didn't hit me or anybody else. Glad my wife wasn't in the shop at the time. It went somewhere, and the screw went somewhere else. So wherever they went, it was really kind of weird to hear it. It like hit, and it sounded like a boomerang or a like one of those bullets on a western, like pa-ching, and then it went, and then there was something else flying another direction in the shop. So I wasn't sure what that was at first until I looked at my tool, realized that's why it wasn't cutting anymore. Hard for it to cut without a blade on it, right? So hopefully we gave you a little bit of entertainment there. And if we did, great. I see we got 87 likes. 87 likes. Only need a few more, guys. So if you can get up to, if we can get 13 more likes, we can call it a day. Yeah, like a ricochet. It was just that's what it was. It was like a just a ricochet, and I don't know where it went, but it went flying way over here somewhere, and the other one went flying in the opposite direction. So I'm sure I'll find them someday, and I'll go, oh yeah, that's what that was. But someday when you're cleaning your chop up or something, all of a sudden you'll see it. You'll say, where'd that screw come from? Fortunately, when you order a set of new tips for your carbides, they usually come with a couple of screws. So that's not usually an issue. And I know I have spares, but I still don't know why that one kept coming loose. It was an ongoing issue with that one. So I should have been aware of it. And that's probably when I felt it was chattering. And I looked at the wood and I didn't see the chatter. That was my clue. I should have looked at the blade itself. What was chattering is probably the blade was coming loose, and that's what was causing the chattering. But anytime you feel anything odd with your tool, you should always stop, take a look at the wood that you're turning, and take a look at your tool too, for that matter. And I just don't use carbides enough to really remember to do that sometimes. Oh, there's the screw. I just found it. Ta-da! So there you go. I cleaned everything, sucked everything up, and the screw's still on the ground here. So we'll just have to put a new blade on. It pays to clean up. There. Let me pick that up while I see it. Oh boy! I'll tell you what, bending over is a lot different than getting up again. Oh! And you won't believe what else I found. I found, well, I can get it. I found the blade as well at the same time. Great thing for a person that's getting old to have as a magnet for your shop. But there they are. And this is what went flying off. And this is the screw that was supposed to be holding it on. So we got both. And I think I'll go ahead and just retire this blade anyway. Might retire that screw too. But see, I found it. Ta-da! Problem solved. Now I won't be stepping on it in the middle of the night when I come out here to turn something on or off, and I'm out here in my bare feet like I shouldn't be, because you should never go into your shop in your bare feet. That's rule number 2. And every once in a while I do, stupidly. And I usually pay for it because I step on something I didn't want to step on. But yeah, that's generally a good rule of the shop. Always be wearing shoes, no flip-flops. And in fact, if you're in the shop, you should be wearing shoes that cover your feet, not sandals, for safety reasons when you drop things, right? So one more time, that's this is the second bowl we did. This is the first bowl we did. We got up to 90 likes, and I'm okay with that. I really appreciate you guys being in here with us, and I think we'll probably, I don't know if we're going to get 9 more or not. Do you think so? I mean, I'm willing to stay on if you think we can get it, but if you guys don't think we can get to 9 more, we'll shut it down. So I'll let you guys decide. Do we go for 9 more? I'm willing to stick around if you guys are willing to stick around. We can talk about other things. That's for sure. I got lots to clean up. So if anybody wants to help out, double tap the screen, get us to 100 likes before we get off the air here. That'd be terrific. Let me pull out some of the ones that I've done recently again. So you can get a look at some other ways. This is a third way to turn that cork oak. This one right here. Now this is going into the arm of the wood. In other words, if this was a branch, this is the outside of the branch, and you're going right into the center of the branch, and you're testing, or you're trusting that this is not going to crack on you in the pith. So you're going right into the end grain of the wood, which is tough to do. It's hard to get a nice finish on it. And so this became, and I've done a few of these. It's very awkward looking on the outside, so you can see what it looked like. It was actually part of a crotch piece. And there's another piece of the wood right there. And yet we were able to turn it round on the inside, so you don't see it like this, you see it like this. So much different approach. What do I recommend for traditional tools? I'll tell you. I'll give you an example here. And actually, I've done a video on it too. If you go and look at my videos, but it's actually a two-parter. But you can buy a set like this, and these are Hurricanes, and they are really, really, really good. I really like these Hurricanes. Okay, but it's very rare that I use this one. It's very, very thin, and I just don't really have any use for it. So it doesn't get used. So I bought a tool that I really don't necessarily need. This is the one I use all the time. This is the 5/8 or 1/2 inch, depending on if you measure outside or inside. And this is the next size down. And both of these can be used. Now, I use this almost more as a spindle gouge, sort of like my spindle gouge. See? But this one right here is my regular everyday gouge. And I have a few of them with different curves on it, and I really like the traditional 1/2 inch or 5/8. The 5/8 and 1/2 inch depends on whether you're American or British. If you can see, it's 1/2 inch here, okay, like 1/2 inch here, but on the outside, it's 5/8. So. It's just where you measure it is really what it comes down to. So that becomes confusing to people sometimes. But anyway, I've got that there, and then I've got this kind too. Now this one, you get one handle, and you can get different tools for it. This is another 5/8 gouge, and it's very hefty, very strong. This is made by Carter and Sons. It's very, very, very high quality, very expensive, and you don't need to get this expensive. With this, I bought all three of these other Hurricanes for about 1/3 of what I paid for this set. Okay, so much more expensive. But you can also go with like BM wood tools, woodwork. BM right here, BM wood. Now they sent me this one to try out. Very nice. I have a different grind on it, and it is a great tool. It's a M2 Cryo like the others. I always say get the M2 Cryo if you can, because it doesn't wear down. It'll last you for years and years, and it just saves you a whole lot of money in the long run. Okay. Well, I don't think we're going to get to 100. We're at 91. And we only got 17 people in here, so if these 17 people have already hit the like button, then we're not going to get any more. So I appreciate your help, soldier, on that, and we'll do it another time. But get in touch with me if you want to do a turning together or something, or just have me kind of stand there and in the background and talk you through it. I'd be happy to do that. And I will talk to you guys all in a few days. But I appreciate all your time, and thank you for being here today. Bye-bye.